G'day cocktail lovers, it's experiment time here in the bar, and experiments that don't involve shaking cocktails. I have a dislocated finger and I don't really want to be shaking that around a lot. Long story, but you know, don't worry, you should see the other guy. Other guys! There was at least 3 of them. I say at least 3 because they were ninjas, so it's very hard to be sure how many there were. I gave them a seeing off, and I tell you what, they won't come around my bar again. I mean, unless they're here now. It's very difficult to tell with ninjas. The cocktail I'm experimenting with tonight is inspired by a bar in New York called Pouring Ribbons. The name was what grabbed me first. If you use an unusual name, you will get my attention. This one is called My Dear Unfortunate Successor. Sometimes the cocktail doesn't live up to the interesting names. I had to look at the ingredients. It included chocolate milk washed mezcal and some green chartreuse and an accent of absinthe. So I thought, you know, those flavors, they're worth looking into. The way it's served in the bar seemed quite interesting. It's served in little teacups and they do an absinthe wash in the cups. One of the reasons they'd be serving it in teacups is because of how it looks. It's going to look like chocolate milk because, long story short, the method is mix some mezcal and some chocolate milk and then strain it to get any particles out, but you're not going to strain out the chocolate milk no matter how fine your straining method is, I don't think. So it's going to look like chocolate milk. This is different to if you're fat washing a spirit or a cocktail, because when you do that to get the flavor of the oil or the fat, the standard thing is when you let it sit for a while, then you put it in the freezer or the fridge so the fat or oil solidifies and you scoop that off. This isn't like that, it's milk. I guess you could freeze it for a while and then maybe some of the fat content from the milk would freeze. I may even try that another day if I particularly like this cocktail. Might be worth exploring. But I did a simple filter, so it's going to look like chocolate milk. Incidentally, with the ratios, it was for a big batch. It was like saying, use a liter of mezcal. And I thought, okay, you're making a big batch. I'm not making a batch that big. But then they went, oh, and do it with 13 ounces of chocolate milk. Why would you mix measurement scales, metric and imperial? Then I have to do maths. I don't know why they did this to me. I do take it personally, and you know, if I ever get to New York, I'll have a word with them. The short answer is it's 3 parts mezcal, 3 parts mezcal to 1 part chocolate milk. Also, for fun, I decided to go a bit over the top. I made my own chocolate milk and I used cocoa, 100% cocoa, to get really strong chocolate flavors in there. And I also added malted milk powder. So I have chocolate malted milk going in mine. People who know this channel well may go, oh, milk wash? Don't you want to do a milk punch? You love milk punch. I love milk punch, and I'm doing a clarified one as well. So it's a comparison. I'm going to have a milk washed version of this and a chocolate milk clarified version of this. As is usual for me with a clarified cocktail, I made a bit of a batch, not as big as they were saying, not a liter, but I did make a batch. So I'm going to tell you the ingredients for 1 serving as I pour this out, but I scaled it up. Also, the standard cocktail is a mix of the chocolate milk washed mezcal and just some regular mezcal, whereas for the batch one, it was just mezcal because it's going into some chocolate milk for some clarification. Also, the standard cocktail doesn't have citrus in it, and to milk clarify, my method is using an acid element, so I'll be using some orange juice, which is not in the base cocktail, so that's another difference between the two. I did a scaled up version, but for 1 serve, it would be 2 ounces or 60 mils of mezcal, then around a bar spoon or 5 mils of green chartreuse, a bar spoon or 5 mils of agave nectar, a bar spoon or 5 mils of vanilla syrup. For clarification purposes, the orange juice I added was 1/3 the volume of the mezcal. I gave that a bit of a stir, then added it to my chocolate malted milk, and the ratio I have there is about 4 parts of cocktail to 1 part of milk. That started to curdle pretty much straight away, but I let it sit while I put together my milk wash mezcal, like, as I said, 3 parts mezcal to 1 part chocolate malted milk in my case, and yeah, it just looks like chocolate milk after you filter it. After about half an hour, I could see some good curdling happening, and I filtered that through a paper coffee filter. And the tip, as always, I give is the first amount that goes through will go through cloudy, because you need those curds to settle to the bottom of your paper filter. They do the hard work of clarifying. So you let it run through for a while, until it's coming through clear and then pour that first lot back through. Or alternatively, you can filter the entire cocktail more than once. When I had my beautifully clarified cocktail, all I did is add about 90 mils of that to ice to give it a stir for about 20 to 25 seconds so it's nice and chilled, and I strained that into a chilled coupe. There's an absinthe wash in this cocktail, and there's a few ways to do it. The way I like to do it is have ice in my glass to be chilling it, and I put about 1/4 ounce, 7.5 mils of absinthe in there just to get that flavor in there. And instead of tipping it out, I strain it into a shot glass, so I have the shot glass as a chaser after I have the cocktail. For the standard cocktail in a mixing glass, we put 1¼ ounces, 37.5 mils of mezcal, and then we add 3/4 ounce, around 22.5 mils of the chocolate milk washed mezcal, then just 1 bar spoon, around 5 mils of green chartreuse, 1 bar spoon or 5 mils of agave nectar, and 1 bar spoon or 5 mils of vanilla syrup. Add ice to the glass, stir that for 20 to 25 seconds to chill and dilute the drink, and I'm straining that into a chilled coupe. Like I said, the venue actually serves this chocolate milk washed version in a teacup, which I think is a nice touch. I went to put them in coupes to show off how clarified looks radically different to milk washed. I think these are a little too big, honestly, but that's by the by. Clarification usually softens flavors, so I think I need to taste this first because the flavors might be bigger in the milk washed version. So a little taste. That is really nice. That tastes like dessert. It mostly tastes like chocolate, but some of the smokiness of the mezcal is still in there. It's very smooth. It's turned into a cheeky dessert cocktail. What's the milk washed one like? I'm not surprised. The smoke from the mezcal is much stronger. This is a much earthier drink, and the chocolate comes through really well. There's a comparatively small amount of the chocolate compared to the other ingredients in here, but it's still a tasty chocolate one. Not that visually appealing, so as I said, I know why they serve it in teacups, but once we clarify it, it is visually appealing. And in comparison, this is one of those cases where I very much prefer the clarified version. The milk washed one is actually quite nice. It's a smoky chocolate drink, makes for a very interesting taste profile. This one is more like a chocolate dessert, and the earthiness of the mezcal and the smoke is more understated. They're both pretty good, and so this I call another successful milk clarifying experiment. I was drawn in first by the name, my dear unfortunate successor, then by the very interesting combo of ingredients, and finally I was enticed to do a milk clarified version. I regret nothing. This was great. But look at me, back on my double fisting bullshit. Cheers to me, and I really hope that my finger heals up, but it's probably going to be like this for at least a few weeks, so stirred cocktails only for a while. Given they're my favorite, that is no hardship, but I will be making some more stuff, so I hope you come back and see what I'm doing. I hope you look after yourself as well, but until I see you again, I'll say cheers.